Welcome to the compound series. So far, the compound series consists of two models, the compound 1 and the compound 2. The compound 1 has been manufactured for the purpose of demonstrating the forefront control panel design. This is the concept of putting the control panel at the very front, whereas in conventional electronic keyboards, the keyboard is on the front, whereas the panel is at the back and with speakers on the sides. The forefront control panel design is the idea of putting the control panel at the front and the keyboard at midpoint and the speakers at the rear. The idea is that in this way, another keyboard that stays behind will be closer to the player. Now let us see what this compound 1 can do. The compound 1 has the organ as its main component. This is actually a Yamaha reface fitted into this big model. Next to it are the support voices, also another Yamaha keyboard, which offers 128 different voices. Here on the extreme left, there's a mixer, and there is also a microphone XLR input. On the extreme right, we have the switch to turn on the instrument and another switch for the speakers, and we have a socket 230 volts for any external device, so as not to have a lot of extensions on the floor. Instead, if you have an external device, you could attach it to this socket. Here is a compartment for the sustain pedal. The sustain pedal can be put inside this compartment to facilitate transportation. And this wire is for the attachment of an external device, so as if you have a keyboard that does not have its own speakers, you could use the speakers of the compound 1. You will have the volume here for the external keyboard. This is for the organ, and this is for the support voices, and this volume knob is for the microphone, which you would want to attach. So the compound 1 is also a mixer in itself. Now let us see the sounds. This is the sound of the Hammond organ. For those of you who are not accustomed with drawbars, these drawbars have specific functions. There are 9 drawbars. The drawbar number 3 is the tonic. So if I play an A, it's gonna be an A. Drawbar number 1 is an octave lower. So if I play this, I will have this added to it. Drawbar number 4 and 6 are actually an octave higher and 2 octaves higher. Drawbar number 7 is a major third, so if I play a C, I will have an E added to it. Let us try this out. So let me do this. A major third interval is being added. And the others you can see over here. So actually it's an octave lower, a dominant, the tonic, which is the actual note that you play, a tonic octave higher, a dominant octave higher, so it's like number 2, but an octave higher. 6 is 2 octaves higher. 7, the tonic, so it's the tonic is 1, 3, 5, and 6. 7 is a major third. 8 is a dominant 2 octaves higher, so it's 2, 5, and 8, always a dominant an octave higher every time. And number 9 is a tonic 3 octaves higher, so it's number 3 octave higher, another octave higher, and another octave higher. That's drawbar number 9. Here there is the distortion and reverb, as well as the percussion, and even the percussion has an interval. It has either dominant or tonic, so the percussive sound can either be on tonic, so if you play an A, even the percussion will be on an A, or else you could switch to turn it to a dominant interval, so if you play an A, the percussion will sound on an E. So, here we have these wheels. This wheel is connected to the Leslie speakers, rotary speakers emulator. We have the slow and fast. Now, if we use this one, the slow and fast will shift. Okay, so we're using the modulation wheel as a shift for slow and fast rotary speakers. Here there is a pitch bender, which doesn't really make sense on an organ, but you could want to use it. And these two buttons are D and A. D is diminished and A is augmented. Strictly speaking, this MIDI controller could have an octave shift, but I don't think that on a 7-octave keyboard you would need an octave shift, so I changed it and I made it D and A, standing for diminished and augmented. So if I play a D and I press diminished, it goes down to C sharp, whereas if I go on the augmented, the D will go up to E flat. It makes more sense with such a 7-octave keyboard. It makes more sense than having an octave shift. Now let's go to the support voices. Support voices in the sense that this keyboard has the organs as its main sound, so the other sounds will complement the organ to make it more rich. For instance, I can use the human voice, so I need to go to voice number 53. I press 5. So first I press the blue button, which means that I want to choose a sound, whereas the yellow button is for the effects, such as reverb or harmonics or chorus. I'm gonna press the blue button, or I can go with +1 every time and -1 every time with these two buttons. So I'm gonna go directly onto the voice. So 5 and 3, so that's 53, and I'm gonna press enter. So that's 53, and I have the human voice. Added to the Hammond organ. Now I can go to timpani. I'm pressing the -1 every time to go to 48, because 48 is very close to 53. I could have done this, I could have pressed that one, I could have gone 48, that's 48, and enter, and I'm on 48, and that's the timpani sound. And I'm gonna add it to the organ sound. Now, if I want both the timpani and the organ sound, I can press hard. Whereas up here, where the timpani sound is not so nice, and I want only the organ sound, I'm gonna play soft and I will have only the organ sound. Now the reason is that the Yamaha Rephase YC is not touch sensitive, whereas the other Yamaha keyboard, which I'm using as a support module, it is touch sensitive. Therefore, if I want both the organ and the timpani, I will press hard so that I will have the timpani sound. And of course the organ sound. If I only want the organ sound without the timpani, I can of course lower the volume, but then I will lose the timpani across all the keyboard. I don't want the timpani only on this area of the keyboard. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play soft. It doesn't make any difference to the organ sound because it is not touch sensitive, whereas it will make a difference for the timpani because it is touch sensitive. So I will play soft and I will not have timpani. Because the sound of the timpani on this area of the keyboard is not nice. See how it would sound. That's not nice at all. Whereas here, the sound of the timpani is nice, so I will press hard and have them both. Then of course I can use the volume of each module, and I can also use the volumes over here on the mixer. You see there's the blue dot here that indicates that it's this module, the red dot here that indicates that it's the Rephase YC, and the green dot, as I explained before, is for any external instrument which you would like to connect, perhaps an electronic keyboard that does not come with speakers, and the white knob for a microphone which you would like to attach. Now quickly, I'm going to the Compound 2, which has the same idea of the power on, the speakers on or off. Here I can attach an external device. Actually, I'm attaching the Compound 1. So the Compound 1 is taking electricity from the Compound 2, or I could have done it vice versa. Here I have this sustain pedal, a sustain pedal for the Compound 2. It stays in the compartment so as to facilitate transportation, and this one is a MIDI it's a MIDI coupler, so that with the Compound 1 I can control the Compound 2, and the MIDI switch is there so that I can choose when to have the coupler on or the coupler off. In this case, I want the coupler on. The coupler is on because that's how I want it, so that the keyboard of the Compound 1 will control the Compound 2. Now, the modules of the Compound 2 are actually a Rephase CS and a Rephase CP. Rephase CS is like the Rephase YC in the sense that it is not touch sensitive, whereas the Rephase CP is touch sensitive. So this one is touch sensitive. It makes the sound of the pianos, the Rhodes, the Wurlitzer, the toy piano, the clavinet, and the Yamaha CP80, whereas the other one is a control synthesizer that gives you many waveforms and filters by which you can create many sounds from scratch. Now this keyboard up here controls the synthesizer, whereas the combo piano, the electric pianos, can be controlled from the keyboard of the Compound 1. However, here I have another MIDI switch, so if I turn on the MIDI switch, even the Rephase CS will be controlled through this keyboard. Whereas if I turn off the MIDI, then the MIDI coupler, so in that case, the MIDI coupler is taking the signal from there, the Yamaha Reface CS control synthesizer will be controlled only from the upper keyboard. Now let me give a demonstration to explain all this. So I am setting the organs on Hammond. I'm gonna use the human voice on the support voices, so as to have this rich sound. But I'm gonna also use this Wurlitzer sound on the control piano. So I am adding this sound to make the sound even richer. And I can turn on the MIDI coupler so as to have also the Yamaha CS, the control synthesizer. But if I want to use the control synthesizer by itself, I have this keyboard dedicated for the control synthesizer. I can use this modulation wheel to control the depth of the low frequency oscillator. Like that, like this, the amplitude modulation filter is off. Now when I turn up the modulation wheel, what I'm actually doing is that I am opening the filter of the amplitude modulation. Whereas as I already explained, the modulation wheel here will control the Leslie speakers. So I'm going on the LED that shows the Leslie speakers, and with the other hand, I am controlling the modulation wheel, and this is what happens. From slow it goes to fast. However, when I'm using the electric piano in conjunction, when I use the modulation wheel, I am automatically adding modulation to the electric piano, which may be unwanted. So if I don't want that modulation on the electric piano, I will use the MIDI killer so as to disconnect the compound 1 from the compound 2. So actually I am deactivating this connection. Now I'm gonna turn it on again. So for those who are not understanding, from this level downwards is the compound 1, and from this level upwards is the compound 2. So I'm gonna show the instruments from the end so as to give a better idea of what we're talking about. This is the compound 1 and that is the compound 2. Over there is another keyboard which I am not talking about. It's a regular standard arranger keyboard. So, thank you for appreciating the compound series. Up till now I have manufactured 2 models, compound 1 and compound 2, but in the future I am already planning to manufacture the 3rd model, which will be called compound 3. If you want to know about the stands that I'm using these type of stands, not the X stands, but these stands that resemble an altar, because I believe that they are more sturdy, especially for the compound models that are very heavy, because I am using timber for the shell, for the body, I'm not using plastic but timber, because I believe, and I have proof of it, that when the body is made of timber instead of plastic, the sound will be more solid. So if I may give you an example, this is the Wurlitzer sound with the speakers inside a wooden shell. Sorry, I apologize. See how solid the sound is. Whereas when the body is made of plastic, the sound is not as solid. So I thought of using timber, and the casing here is made of aluminium. So thank you for watching me, thank you for following, and I hope that you enjoyed discovering the compound series and the forefront control panel design, which is my original idea. As I was saying before, I put the control panel at the front instead of at the back, so that the keyboard of the secondary electronic keyboard, of the secondary instrument, would be much closer to the keyboard of the principal keyboard. They are not far away, they are close, because there is no control panel over there. Okay, thank you for appreciating. Goodbye.